Hello, Charles Fader here, founder and inventor of Youth Sports Draft Days. I wanted to record a video to let everybody know what Youth Sports Draft Days is about, why it was created, what its purpose is, and how it can be used. Youth Sports Draft Days combines the things that all youth sports teams need. They need to be formed, and they need fundraising to offset the financial burden of being part of a team. When I first developed Youth Sports Draft Days, I did it for the purpose of forming a group of teams, such as a recreational league for youth sports, of any kind of sport. The thought process there is that we all know that the best development of youth in the sports industry comes from having balanced teams. So I wanted to create a way to form teams for them to be balanced, or to be skill level of all teams, because when you have equal competition, it helps to develop the youth teams faster and better. So that was the initial thought when I developed it. I wanted to have it to create balanced teams. In the process, I thought, well, not only could it be utilized to form a group of teams, there are individual teams that need to be formed, such as select teams or club teams, and for that matter, middle school and high school teams as well. All of them have tryouts, so I was like, they all have player pools that have tryouts, of which coaches evaluate the current skill levels of those players via those tryouts, and then they alternate turns making selections to form a group of teams. Or in the case of a select or club organization, they would evaluate the players per their tryouts and then make invitations to join their teams. So I was like, well, Youth Sports Draft Days can be used for that as well, because there is a player pool from tryouts. And then in middle school and high school, the same thing occurs. Kids try out, and then the old school way would be is you go by the coach's office door to see if your name is on the list, to see if you made the team. I thought, well, why can't we replace that old school way of doing that, where you have to go see if your name is on a list on a coach's door, and have it where Youth Sports Draft Days would also notify those individuals if they made the team or not from their tryout. Likewise, the old school way of developing a group of teams, such as a league, was the coaches, after player evaluations from tryouts is performed, they would meet in some unair conditioning facility or something like that, and take turns making their selections. I was like, well, why don't we bring that up to the 21st century and use technology where the coaches don't have to go meet in that hot, stuffy room. They could literally use technology to remotely make their selections. And I thought, let's make this as fun and engaging as possible. And my thought was, why can't we make youth sports more like professional sports? Professional sports, we all want to get on TV and watch the teams make their selections. It's exciting, it's carried on ESPN and stuff like that. I was like, well, why can't we do that with youth sports? So in developing Youth Sports Draft Days, I did that. I modeled it after, watching a professional draft on TV, where each team makes their selections one at a time, and there's a countdown clock, and there's a running ticker showing the past selections that were made by each team. So that's what Youth Sports Draft Days was modeled behind, just as a professional draft would be done on TV. And then I thought about the financial piece of it. It costs money to develop the app and then to maintain the app and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, well then there has to be some charge function. So initially I thought, okay, I would charge the league a fee, and then the parents would be charged a fee to be engaged by watching and commenting and stuff like that. And then I came to the conclusion that to try to get leagues and teams to pay a fee to try something new wasn't going to work. So I made it free. I said, okay, we'll make it free for leagues and teams of all sports types to be able to utilize the app to form their teams. What we'll do is we'll have the players and parents pay a small fee to watch and be engaged in this team formation function, and that would be the revenue generated that would help offset the cost of the development and the ongoing maintenance and operation of the app. And then from there, I was like, well, I would also be making donations back to the organizations and teams, that utilize the app. And I was like, well, why don't I just, instead of making the individual donations, why don't I make it upfront as an enticement and encouragement for teams and leagues to utilize the app? Why don't I just do a revenue share right up front and help it be a preseason fundraising effort on their part? That would encourage them to want to utilize the app, as well as it would entice them to get more engagement, more friends and family to want to watch and participate in the draft function, knowing that it was a fundraising piece of it going back to them. So I said, okay, let's make this very simple. From the get-go, I have got to grow the app and get the exposure for it to be utilized. And there's costs associated with that, the marketing costs. I said, why don't I do it this way? Why don't I upfront agree to give 1/3 of the revenue generated by the participation of utilizing the app back to the team or organization that is utilizing it. So that would encourage them to get their friends and family to watch the live draft. And so they're going to get 1/3 of the money back in the form of a donation. So it acts as a preseason fundraiser for them to offset their travel costs, equipment costs, participation on the team costs, that type of thing. And then I need to get the exposure for the teams to be able to know about the app, to be able to utilize it. So there are various platforms out there that I'm gonna have to revenue share with in order to get them to introduce the app to the leagues and teams that need to utilize it. So in order to do that, I have to entice them. So I'll give them 1/3 of the revenue. So as the developer, and to have the ongoing cost of maintaining and operating the app, I'm simply keeping 1/3 and also recoup marketing costs, stuff like that. So I'm keeping 1/3 of the revenue generated by the utilization of this app, and then giving 1/3 to the platform that introduces or gets the exposure for the app to be utilized. And then 1/3 is going in the form of a donation to the teams that utilize it. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. So again, the purpose of the development was for team formation. Then there's the fundraising piece to obtain the exposure and to entice teams to utilize the app. And in the end, it's just a win for all youth sports. You're going to either get balanced teams, if that's what your purpose is, because you're a league and you're trying to create a group of team and you want them balanced, which is what makes sense in rec sports to have the teams be equally matched so that development happens faster and better. Or if you're a more select or club team that is going, you're trying to have a pool of players that try out for your team, you're trying to make your selections to put the best team you can on the field. Well, you can utilize our app for that as well. And if you were a high school or middle school team, and the same type of thing, you have a player pool that tries out for your team, and you need to make your selections to see who makes the team and put the best team on the field or court to represent your team or your school. Well, then our app can be utilized for that as well. Even in the case of what I would call competitive rec sports, leagues such as Little League Baseball or Pony Baseball, that type of thing, our app can be utilized there too. They have things in their bylaws so that uh, kids of a certain age, I believe it's 12, they have to try out for a team, and selection processes need to be made in order to form the teams. Like I'm talking through a drafting process that after player evaluations from those tryouts. But in their bylaws, it says that the players should never know what order they were selected in. And understandable, because you don't want these young age players to feel like they were selected last, so get their emotional thing that they didn't do so well or something like that, as if they didn't know they didn't do that great at tryouts or something like that. But you don't want to pile it on and say, and make them not want to play because they were last picked. Understandable. Our app can still be utilized. In that case, maybe in even years, do A through Z selection process based on last name, and in that case, it's just it's going to go in alphabetical order. So there is no he was selected first or last or anything like that. And even years go A through Z, and odd years go Z through A, in reverse order. That way, that somebody's not always waiting last because their name starts with, end of the alphabet letter or something like that. So it takes a little bit of creativity, but we've made the app, moldable to where it can be utilized for the creation of any type of team in any sport. Just like we added into the process, the drafting process has pre-selections, which would allow you to, and it's all determined by the league administrator setting it up. You can have pre-selected players. Those are players that you get to pre-select for your team prior to the drafting process, which the drafting process is each team, in a certain order goes one by one, taking turns to make selections. The pre-selections could have been legacy players that played for you in the past, players that are already on the team, lettermen in the event of a Scholastic team, that type of thing. And then the live drafting process, which is the individual selections based on the predetermined order of 1 through 10 teams, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you can go in reverse order. Snake is what it's called. 10 back to 1, that type of thing. You can have the app create a random process for you. It just immediately notifies a team when they're on the clock to make their selection, and then you could do 1 through 10, 1 through 10, 1 through 10. It's up to you how you want to do it. Those are options that the league administrator would set. When we determined that our app could be utilized for the Scholastic teams, we thought more along the lines of high school, but it would work in middle school as well. Rather than saying individual drafts for each grade level and each team being formed, we thought, okay, for example, in high school, rather than having the freshman team draft, then the sophomore team draft, and the junior varsity team draft, and the varsity team draft, all individually, with the purpose here being a fundraiser for the school, we thought, or the booster club or the sports organization, we thought, okay, well, why don't we have all those drafts at the same time? The alternating would be from each grade level, which would be, have the freshman make a selection, then the sophomore team make a selection, the JV team make a selection, varsity team make a selection, but all part of the same draft. And that way, you've got more involvement and engagement by all the people that have a vested interest in knowing if they, what team they've made. Additionally, at the same time, you're giving some also additional recognition for those younger players that get selected to play on a higher than their actual grade level team, such as a freshman being selected to play on JV or varsity. They get that added recognition. So everybody is involved and engaged and interested in the process of the entire draft to see who makes what team, that type of thing, from a Scholastic team aspect. You could do the same thing in middle school between the 7th grade team and the 8th grade team, that type of thing. So Youth Sports Draft Days is moldable. Oh, one other item. We have a third part to the draft process. And again, if you don't want to utilize it, you don't have to utilize it. We have it to make it, again, like professional sports. We have a third phase in the draft process. We start with the pre-selections, then we have the live draft, And if you want to use the third section, you can use it. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to use it either at all. And that is, we have a trade function, to make it more like professional sports. Maybe flag football teams want to be able to, have post live draft trades so that the coaches can propose trades to each other and they can accept or reject them. You can make that trade window as long as you would like or as short as you would like. Short as you would like, meaning we're not having trades. Once the selection process is made, the teams are they're set, they're final. So we made it to where it's moldable to however you need to create your team or teams. Again, to make the team formation function fun and engaging, with the bonus that it also generates revenue that will be shared with your team or organization for utilizing the app. So that's what we've created. That's why it was created. The real question is why? Why not use the app? I mean, it only makes perfect sense. It helps you not only form the team that you need to form or teams, but it generates revenue for your team or teams in the process. It makes it fun and engaging where everybody is involved, from the league administrator to the head coaches to the assistant coaches to the players and parents themselves. Everybody is involved in the process, whether they're making a selection, watching the selection, liking the selections, that type of thing. It's a fun and engaging process. And so the question is why not? So thanks for having the interest in what Youth Sports Draft Day is about. And now you know why I created it and what its purpose is and how it can be utilized. And hopefully you see that it is a fit for your team or organization, because it's moldable to however you need to utilize it. So thanks so much, and we hope to get you involved in utilizing Youth Sports Draft Days. Thanks so much.